All right, guys. Jeremy here with the Hunting SOBs. Got Derek and John sitting on the other side, and we got Mr. Wade Watson here.
No, mister.
Just Wade.
Just Wade.
We approached him about doing a video because we've deer hunted our whole lives. We hadn't really done a lot of turkey hunting up until last year and a little bit the year before that.
Yeah.
And we kind of suck at it, Wade. Not gonna lie. But
no, you don't.
These three birds, the two fans you see on the wall are accounted for the longbeards that we've killed right here. And then John had one in Missouri, but it was basically our second year hunting and we killed two. That one was public land and that one come off for release. But it was a lot of fun, but I won't ever forget the first time we weren't filming. We had a brainchild of starting to film our hunts, but we didn't film the very first year of turkey season. We just walked out, and not walking out in the woods, I had no idea what we were doing, and I didn't like that feeling. I did not like that feeling. So
everybody's the same way.
Yeah,
everybody starts somewhere.
Yeah, but we have a lot of fun. We enjoy it because the way we do it is one guy with a camera, and we got two guys sitting up, and we're all together. Where deer hunting, we basically carry our own.
We're solo. Yeah,
so, it's tough filming.
It is hard.
I mean, you not only got to get one person in position, you've got to get two or three, at least two.
And at least deer season, you can get away with a little movement.
Yeah, turkeys,
you can't.
Once you call to him and he pinpoints you, he's looking for movement right there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what's that old saying that a deer thinks that every human is a stump and a turkey thinks every stump is a human? That's kind of what it feels like. Yep. Man, I mean, we have a lot of fun at it. We ain't real good at it, but that's the reason why we want to talk to you. I wanted you to touch a little bit just on your calling. I know you don't want to talk a lot about it, but like some of your calling, because I want to transition from what I think we overcall, and you have a lot of early hunters that watch people call on the stage and they get out there and they cut up and go crazy. I do think we do that sometimes.
Yeah, sure we do. We like to hear them gobble.
Yeah, that's the most fun.
If he's going to gobble, I'm going to call.
Yeah.
If he keeps gobbling, I'm going to keep calling. Most of the time. Yeah. That's usually the nemesis if you keep calling too much, especially around public, or farms where there's multiple people.
Right. So what do you think, like when you're calling a lot like that, and you hear people saying you educate the birds? We've said that. We gave that bird a good education last year. We had a bird, over in Lewisburg that we should have killed. I don't know, we got him gobbling like 150 times, but we didn't know it. He was on another property line and it had that mesh fence. Couldn't get through to us.
No, he paced and paced and paced and paced and strutted and I mean, couldn't get him to go
across that fence.
Well, daily he probably crosses that fence.
Just flies over?
Yeah, just along his normal routine, and you call to him. Of course, obviously, you're reversing nature.
Right.
You're trying to get an animal to come to you that normally the hens go to him. But yeah, they can be out in the middle of a field, nothing there, do the same thing. I've had them. I can't tell you much what to do, but I can tell you a whole lot of what not to do.
We're figuring that out too. And like I said, our first year, other than having that feeling, we got on birds. We didn't get on a lot of long birds, but we got on some birds. But we made some of the dumbest mistakes known to man.
But we learned from them.
We did learn from them.
Well, the difference now from probably where I'm at to where y'all at, you see them as a dumb mistake. Well, I shouldn't have done that. Well, I'm still doing that 30 years later. I'm still making stupid.
Trying to make the mistakes work. I think we did that deer hunting too.
I pretty much growed up or started out hunting on public ground. And that's 95% of my hunt's public ground. And if you don't push that bird or get in as close as you possibly can, you're going to sit there and he's going to leave. You're going to do that biggest majority of the time anyway. But even more if you don't. If you set, you won't catch me sitting 200 yards from a bird unless I just can't get no closer.
Right.
If I can squirm around anyway, I kill most of my turkeys standing up.
Is that right?
Oh yeah, because the places.
Well, how about that? I did too. I feel good.
Yeah. These guys, I tell you, that was my fault last year. We had a video of that bird right there. Basically, flew past us.
Flew right over our heads.
Right over it.
I was yelling at them we need to push closer. They were saying we need to sit down. They were right.
This bird had hammered on roost. I mean, constantly. And I think we all had the notion that it was a little bit further away than what it was, but we were on time. I mean, the birds were starting to chirp, and it was starting to come up. I mean,
oh, it was
full foliage.
No,
yeah,
I mean,
no,
opening weekend.
it was opening weekend.
It wasn't none of that.
So
It was
actually,
up on Big Bluff.
he was, and we were sitting there. He's about to come off. We need to stop moving, but we didn't know exactly where it was. And about the time I think me and him were sitting there talking about it, we hear.
Right over
And we looked up, and he flew right over the head.
Where we had learned the year before, me and him were standing 20 yards in the field crossing. This time we were in the canopy, so he just landed about 15 yards and looked at us.
And he just said, "Oh no, I messed up." And I hear Derek out of the corner, "Shoot him." And I mean, I had my
was he filming?
Yeah, he had, and I had my gun still on my shoulder. I mean,
we were looking for a tree to sit
on. Yeah.
Well, I still thought we had a few minutes before he flew down, but we didn't.
And another mistake we made the first year we turkey hunted was with me and Derek fired a bird up. And he was hammering. And then some jakes and some hens come in behind us. The old lead hen, she was not happy. She was pissed. Yeah, well, he come down, and he was closer than we thought. And he didn't gobble for a minute, so we were like, "Oh, well, let's go get John," because John wasn't with us that morning. We'll go get some breakfast, and we'll come back and get on. And like, we never leave a gobbling bird. I mean, that's rule number one. We knew that, but we did it anyway. I mean, just stupid stuff.
You have to sometimes.
They left a gobbling bird to go get some Hardee's and pick me up. And
no, I probably wouldn't do that. Well, I pick you up.
I appreciated it, but they left a gobbling bird.
Yeah,
that's friends.
That's pretty good friends.
Yeah.
We didn't want him to miss out on it.
I know what my buddies would do.
Left
they call me, "Hey man, I got your bird. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm coming to get you." I know. Gotta find another one.
That's a good thing. At least you ain't got to drag them out. But
that's right.
And then on this bird, we worked that bird for a solid 2 hours, and that's what's crazy is we pull up and we're just doing some midday calling. They're standing 20 yards away from me, and I just walked down to the head of this big holler and just called down into it, and I heard one gobble. And I come back up, and I could tell they didn't really believe me 100%.
Right.
Well, then we make a move on him and set up, and he can't. We're closer to him than when I heard him the last time. Never heard him gobble again. Then I went back up to where I called at him the first time. He hammered again. So then we went around and set up, and he made the hens that he was with mad, and the hens worked off, and the bird
started drumming right at you.
Drumming and coming up, and had a jake with him, and we got him put down. That was a pretty.
I feel like we overcalled that bird, but it worked.
Yeah.
Overcalling, undercalling is a normal rule of thumb. Don't call much, but no more than you have to. But how do you know that?
Mm-hmm.
If you don't call to him, how do you know that?
Yeah.
It's there's a fine line on calling turkeys. Later season, they probably won't take as much on, hunting property that's pressured. There's a difference in pressured birds and unpressured birds.
Mm-hmm. Just like deer then?
Yep. Same way. We went to, first time I got to go to Oklahoma hunting Rios. Buddy of mine carried me out there, and I thought, man, you can't do nothing wrong out there, I mean, if he's 500 yards and you can call out enough for him to gobble at you, or stretch his neck out, you can't hear him, he's coming. Pretty much every time. We went 4 hours northeast to eastern Kansas and got into easterns that wasn't pressured, not heads.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, they were a lot easier than around here, but still not heads. You could tell the difference. It's amazing at the difference they make.
It's crazy because, you hear that if you can kill a bird down here in the southeast where we're at, you can kill one anywhere is what I've heard. But I mean,
pretty much. I got some real good friends in PA. PA's got some killers. Not only killers, they got callers. I'm talking people that study this. Georgia, I've hunted South Georgia, or kind of almost South Georgia. Tough birds. Yeah, and usually it's late season before I can get down there. So all the dumb ones are done shot. All that's left's the one smarter than I am.
That's ones we need, the ones that
Forgot their helmets that day.
That's right.
So I did want to just you touch a little bit on like your calling and in the competition calling, like what kind of success you've had, and maybe like who you've competed against that you thought was really tough. All of them probably.
So who beat me?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much the gist of it. I started in 2000, I think, calling. Me and a buddy. I always wanted to do it, and a buddy of mine, David Joyner, he said, "If you'll go, I'll get in it too." I mean, he had no idea of even wanting to do it. I always wanted to do it. Got in it and won a amateur division the first time I ever called, and it's been all downhill ever since.
Are you using your own calls?
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's, I've been calling now, I guess didn't get to do nothing this year. If we had 21 years, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Man.
It's, does it help me hunting? I wouldn't say that it's a big advantage, but if I want to put out a little teardrop club, I can do that.
Right.
Or if I want to hit a sharp one, I can. It makes you a better hunter, I think. The more disciplined you are on the calling, and it makes you study.
Right.
In vocabulary. A turkey gobbling, don't get me wrong, that is great. I love to hear a turkey gobbling, but the hen's talking.
Right.
I'd a whole lot rather hear what y'all was talking about, fussing with a hen, getting them fired up.
Really? So that's what you're after?
That's what I like to.
That's just what you like to hear.
That really gets me going.
Okay.
Now,
Gotcha.
gobble does too, don't get me wrong. Now, especially a bird 30 yards and you can't see him and he's just blowing your hat off,
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
But it's good, clean fun. I've met a lot of good people that are all over the United States. Real good friends with. Like I was talking to them boys in Pennsylvania. I don't even want them knowing where I live. Or Georgia. I hunt down in Georgia with Joe Drake. I ain't inviting him up here to hunt my bird. He'll kill them. That's what they'll do for you. They'll kill you. Well, you hear, I've heard it multiple times, and I've never even commented on it, but people that call like we do, well, they can call pretty good, but can they kill a turkey? I'm not going to include myself in this company, but you don't want to give them guys key to your gate. They'll kill every daggum thing you got in a couple of days. They're that. But, it's all woodsmanship,
right,
mainly. But it's been a pretty good ride. I've got lucky and won the state a few times. Placed in some majors. Never won a major, but
you always seem to be right there though.
Well, yeah, I'm always on the tail end of the top, you know. So, but hey, that's good with me.
Hey, at least they let you stand on the stage. Right?
I'm telling you, to be in the amongst I know y'all probably don't keep up with the calling part of it and all that. The Walter Parrots, the Steve Stokes, the Jesse Martins, and Matt Van Sices. Now, I've competed with Jesse Martin for years. Of course, me and him, we're real good friends, and I've built a lot of calls for him. But that little dude right there is just unbelievable at the true turkey tones that he's got. Well, his credentials show it. Matt Van Sice, I ain't gonna say nothing about him. 6-time Grand National.
Yeah. know some of those names, but it haven't really, like I said, we haven't been into it probably the last couple of years. I don't know why. I mean,
well, it's not your niche.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not that important to you. It's fun to me and important to me.
Well, it's gaining on me big time. I don't think if they didn't, like you were talking about, if you couldn't get a hen jacked up or hear those gobbling, I don't think I'd care about it all that much. But
no, it's that interaction.
But
yeah.
I have always said though that if a deer could gobble, I would never work a day in my life. That's all I would do is study.
If they run around grunting the whole time.
Yeah. So if that's what they do, it's what one of my buddies. Oh, you need to go elk hunting. And boy, do I ever want to, because that's kind of the.
It does. That's my dream hunt's an elk hunt right there. Yeah.
So, like, as far as calling on stage versus calling while you're hunting, I mean, there's a lot of difference. You told me that
Yeah.
The best thing that you can call with is a cluck and scratching, right? Is that what you said?
Yep.
So, like for all you beginners like us out there, you hear
little soft yelps, clucks. They're the normal daily activity or vocalization of a hen turkey, or gobblers for that fact too, is a lot of clucking, a lot of under the breath yelping, that you can't hear 50 yards. You'd be lucky to hear it there. I feed turkeys year round, best I can. Try to get them in my yard, and I can just raise the window and sit there and listen to them, and the little under the breath things that they do while they're feeding, and I don't, it's a feeding, whine, purrs, and clucks. More whines and purrs than it is anything, but I guess they're aggravated. Their buddy sister's getting a little bit too close, and I don't know what they're saying for sure, but sure do a lot of it.
So we've seen a lot of them like during deer season when they're not in the breeding season. I mean, it's October, November, and you've seen them come through in herds, and like you're talking about, that's you start hearing them, and it's so light. You're like, what is that? And the next thing you know, they're on top of you.
Right.
And we've got some footage of that just hunting in deer season like that. But it makes sense. But I think part of my issue is being able to get down low enough with a mouth call. Now he is better, like hands down better than any of us with a mouth call. But we do use a glass top call and some slates and stuff every now and then.
That'll work.
Yeah, just whatever we can do. And we've noticed, I'll be honest with you, so we started off buying calls, and we bought about every call under the sun. And for whatever reasons, at Lawson's Outdoors here in Laredo, Tennessee, you can go pick up his calls off the shelf, and we bought a couple of them. We had a lot of luck out of them last year about, having gobblers.
As far as mouth calls, I think regardless, I think that's the one that we actually got the most action off of.
Mm-hmm.
Were those. And
Well, mouth calls there's a lot of good companies, a lot of good people making mouth calls, and it's just like this right here. You probably got 30 of them, but you go to that one.
Right.
Yep.
It's just whatever fits you. I've got to the point now, giving back is starting to really come into my mind, not taking as much. And no, don't get me wrong, I love to shoot a turkey in the face.
Oh, yeah.
But I like those old knotheads. Those that
once you get it worked a little bit.
It might take you a week to kill it. And I like public land. I enjoy hunting public land. Not to say I don't like going to a place that's got a bunch of turkeys and not a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
You'll remember the ones that you worked hard for and then missed way past the ones you killed.
I'm sure.
No doubt about that.
Yeah, I think the ones that stick in our head is look at one.
Or you never even got a shot at him.
We didn't get a shot at him. But I mean, we sit there and listen to that joker gobble for an hour and a half.
Yeah, and I had one on public land. Me and John come in behind me.
He
was coming. Yeah, he was coming right to me. I was set up and dropped down into a creek bank, and he was coming right to me. It was with your call, and I was just waiting for him to pop that head up out of the bank. I was going to roll him, and it was just nothing. And I'm like, "Where's he at? Where's he at?"
It had poured on
corner
us.
of my eye. He pops up behind me.
Yep.
He had worked down that creek bank, come right in behind me. So I jumped up and tried to turn and shoot because he popped out of that creek bank, didn't see nothing.
You might get that much movement, but that turning.
Oh no, he was done gone.
He was out. See,
Before
I was set
ever
up behind
moved,
him.
He was done running away. He didn't see nothing.
I was set up behind him filming, but it had just rained. Or it was raining. It was pouring down, so I didn't even have the camera up.
The camera, yeah.
That's right.
That was a fun one though.
That was a fun one.
We drove for a while and we got on a lot of birds at that hunt, but we just couldn't seal the deal. Man, we
got close a couple
times. But
we learned a lot.
We did learn a lot.
So do you consider yourself run and gun? Or does it depend on where you're at?
Well, yes, I consider myself a running.
If you're killing them standing up, I feel like that's probably what you do.
If you've got the territory to do that. But, if you've got a couple, 300 acres, and that's about all you got to hunt, you're really doing yourself a disadvantage of just lapping it, walking around.
So what would your game plan be on a place like that?
Well, by far topographic. Look at the topographic of it. that'll tell you a lot about, because turkeys are like us, they're going to take deer. They take easy routes, points at ridges that come together. Normally, if they come through around the area, they're going to come through there pretty close.
So are you going to sit there most of the day and call a little, or?
Well, I like to be there at daylight, just to know if there's a turkey there. And yeah, if I got a small area, I'm going to hunker down somewhere. A good cushion is the best thing you can carry with you that day. Patience. But no, I didn't do that when I was you boys' age. I mean, it was just go,
That's what we do, and I think we do it too much sometimes. We get a little impatient. And
well, there's turkeys that you wouldn't have found otherwise when you're really covering a lot of ground. But on the flip side of that, there's turkeys you walked away from, or never knew they was there, and
bumped them off
because they weren't being vocal that
they
day.
don't say nothing. And, I mean, it's both got its own good and bad. LBL, I like to cover a lot of territory.
Yeah, move. Yeah, I like moving. So I think if I had to pick, I'm gonna go after birds all day long instead of sitting in one spot.
Well, how old are you?
32.
Put about 20 more years on it.
Yeah, then it's gonna change.
Yeah, it's not that I want to slow down. It's I don't have no choice. I've got to. I mean, I walk, I jog, I do everything I can, but still can't beat Father Time.
Yeah.
So enjoy your running gun while you're at it.
Yeah.
We started so late at it. I wish I had been back whenever our population and stuff
Yeah, y'all
was higher.
kind of missed the big boom.
Yeah.
Well, see, our dad got us into deer hunting, and he's always done that and never turkey hunted a day in his life. Well, he went one time with me, but so that's why we deer hunted, and he taught us everything.
Right.
So I think turkey hunting almost was scary to me because I didn't know anything.
Right.
And then now you can get online and watch videos and teach you so much stuff.
It really throws out like to the cat man. We're pretty good buddies with Cat Man, and that dude's self-taught. Like nobody in his family, nobody got him in hunting. Like he just went out and figured it out on his own. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah,
He's Slayer too.
He is.
And he real good buddies with like Dave Owens and Shane Simpson and stuff too. And
I don't like Dave Owens. I can't beat him. No, he's a good guy.
Yeah, he's
a killer.
Yeah, he kills a lot of turkeys. We watch a lot of his videos and stuff too.
A lot of public man. Yeah, he's the guy. He's the real deal.
Yeah, but I mean, it does, and I think that's because of that feeling I was telling you about. That I did not like that feeling. I didn't like. We get out there and we heard a bird gobbling that morning. We don't know what to do after they shut up, and that's one of the things I was going to ask you. Is like when they're just not vocal, do you pop a squat and just kind of sit and listen?
But you probably know there's birds in that area from previous experience.
Most of my hunting is, I've hunted it for 20 plus, 30 years, and I kind of know turkeys use the same, generation after generation, kind of use the same areas and a lot of the same way, depending on, there's not a lot of clear cutting or,
Right.
activity like that. But
So as long as the habitat around them doesn't change.
right, doesn't change a lot. That's, of course, a turkey gobbling, like I say, all the years I've turkey hunted, I can't remember, but about 2 or 3 that I called to on the limb that actually lit in front of me where I could shoot them. It's always 9,
we're
10.
doing something there.
Yeah.
So that's where I feel like we are. We can kill them dumb birds. We can kill
I
them
like them
birds.
dumb birds.
I do
Me and
too.
them get along good.
Yeah. I like them a lot too, but boy, you get into them, like you call them, the knotheads.
Mm-hmm.
We got a lot to learn in that regard. So like that's.
I mean, there's a piece of public land that we hunt that very few could we say that I ever stepped out there and heard a gobble. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think you both know which one I'm talking about, and
You don't hear many.
you don't hear any at all. Like,
But there's birds there.
there is birds there.
We've seen them.
You can find the old scratching and sometimes some of the new
I mean,
scratching, but
You'd hear, if you did hear one, it was that a gobble? Or, it was way off, and it's like, we're down a holler or something like that.
I was hunting up LBL one time. Buddy David had done killed his, and he headed home that afternoon. Well, I went back the next morning and thought, if I don't kill nothing, I'm going to head home too. Heard a turkey just pulled up the road. Instead of getting out, I mean, we'd done walked. Good gracious. Done killed herself walking up there, you know. And wound up killing both her birds right down next to the road. Walked 200 yards. Anyway, I went up to bird gobbling, and I knew which way he was going. So I got in there, and I thought, well, I'm going to just cut him off, you know. Well, I heard another bird. I thought, man, that's a jake. Well, I sat there, stood there, and I seen the turkey way up the holler, and I got my binoculars up and looked at him. And he's probably 150 yards, and he stretched out and gobbled like crazy, and I barely could hear him. So I don't know if he'd been shot or whatever. And I started to walk over him just to circle around. I knew this other one had hens with it. But anyway, I stayed there, and that turkey walked up on me. I think it's about a 10.5-inch beard, 1.5 inch spurs. I mean, just a giant bird. But you couldn't hear him 150 yards. Gobbling. So, you know what you said earlier, sometimes they might not be that far away.
And it's funny, too, how the land lays. That, like, that bird we killed on, put this bird right here. I mean, you can't tell me that bird wasn't gobbling at us. Or maybe he didn't hear us. But, I mean, we were closer to him when we made that first set on him and couldn't hear him. And we were like, well, I'm going to go up to the head of that holler one more time. And he's still there.
Right.
And then we made a different move and set up, tried to get as close as we could to him. And finally, you could hear the hens. And I don't know, we worked that bird for so long, and I guess we got impatient. And every time he would make a noise, and hens would get fired up. And I was like, just, you know, get back on them. I was like, get on them and make them mad. And he did. But you could hear them. They were mad.
They gone.
They left.
So 10, that's what takes your gobbler away.
But it didn't that time, for some reason.
He just liked you better than
Yep.
Well, we did for a second there. We thought that they had taken that, and then it was boom, and it was like,
he's coming.
ooh.
So if you're going to somewhere like Kansas or something, some public land or whatever you've never been, you get set up and you're not hearing anything. Are you still staying because of topography, or are you moving then? You move.
Well, I might take that topography and go look at some areas.
Okay, but you're not going to sit at one spot that you've got picked out on that.
I'm not going to stay there with nothing if I can help it. You know,
Yeah.
A lot of times I do that, but just because of the places I go, and they might be there and they might not.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's hard. Scouting is finding birds. You can't kill birds unless you where
Birds
birds
are
at.
Yeah, exactly.
Deer either.
Yep.
So it's kind of like with deer hunting. You're going to pick out spots on a map, and then you're going to put boots on the ground and try to find signs.
That's going to be the first place I look.
Yep.
Now
Makes
they've got,
sense.
and I don't have it, that Onyx, and you know, you can sit in your recliner and pretty much, you know, the layout of the land, the fields,
And we use it religiously for deer hunting.
well, I've got a GPS, Garmin GPS, and that's what I use on public ground, more for the lines.
Yeah, that's handy.
You know, a little north of us up here, it's really hard to figure out that public hunting.
Yeah.
You know, it's so spread out, and first thing you do, you wind up across the line somewhere, and somebody's shooting at you or hollering and chasing you.
Get you in trouble. That's where we use OnX. If you pay for, I don't think it was that much for like one state. That OnX app tells you the property lines, and it colors in and tracks you.
You don't have to have service, and
You
it'll
can-
show
no,
exactly
you can-
where you're at.
You can copy a map for like 5 miles above, and then it puts that into your phone, and then
GPS will show you exactly where you're at.
Yep.
Really?
Yeah,
Turn all
it's
the
nice to
overlays
have.
on, and it'll show you all the public tracks. The public land tracks, and it'll shade it in, and it's pretty neat. I mean,
Yeah, and it's helpful too. Like if you're on some public land that has some no hunting zones, it'll shade it in red and let you know.
really?
Yeah.
Like if there's a lake and you can't hunt 50 yards from the
Right,
lake,
right.
it'll have red all the way around it, so you'll know if you're in it or not.
And what it'll also
It
do,
saved us from a ticket when we went up to the state line last year.
because then you got land that's on one side of the state line, you don't want to cross over, and
Yep.
going up into
Yep.
the a northern border there. But and what it'll also do is it'll tell, like this tract of land we're sitting on right now is at John's house. It'll actually tell you tracts of land, how big it is, and who owns it.
Right.
Yep.
So that's pretty nice too, because we can use it. We've used that to knock on some doors and be like, "Oh, this house owns this lot, this land."
Yep.
We'll knock on a door and ask them to hunt. So that's a big thing around here. Is just, I mean, you may own a piece of property a mile south of property, and they ain't got any birds on them,
Yep.
and then you go a mile north, and they're covered up on them. So you know it's
Just never know where they're
you don't know where they're at. So.
food.
So, if you got any tips, like this is more on a beginner, like for a hung up bird. No, we really ain't touch on that. What do you do on a bird that's hung up and just won't come? He's hammering, but he won't come.
Pour it on him just a little bit, you know, to check his temperature. And if he was really hot and he's cutting you off or answering you pretty much immediately, just shut up and sit there.
Okay.
He might not come, but that's the best thing to do, and not booger him no more than you have to. That depends. If you're at public land, or it all depends on where you're hunting, how long you've got to hunt.
I was
You
gonna
know,
say,
you're leaving this evening. You leaving. You know, you got to try to make something happen.
Right.
I'll gobble at them. I'll jake yelp at them. Just anything I can do. Just start throwing stuff at them. You know, if I can hunt the place the whole season, no, I'm not going to push him too
So if
hard.
it's like your hunting lease or your property you own is going to change your tactics, and that
Sure.
makes sense. I mean, because that's the way we do when we do, hunts that we draw hunts for deer. Or
Your last day that you know this is my last evening hunt, you
No
throw
holds
there.
barred.
Yeah, I mean you're not
all
holding
he got to
back.
sit in his bedroom
You go, yeah.
and most of the time bump him. But
Well, that's
that's what we do. We try. Anyway,
I'd rather
you know?
blow a deer or a turkey out and not get a shot at him than what we
Never
call
see
just
it.
never be in the game.
Yeah.
right.
If I don't feel like I'm in the game, and we may be too aggressive at times, I know we are a turkey. I mean, it's me most of the time. It's let's get closer, But I'd rather just have that mortal screw up. And I mean, I know you're educating the deer and the birds by doing that, but man, it's just more fun to me.
Yeah,
I like
well,
it.
I mean, everybody's got their own tactics, own way to hunt. You
Right.
know?
Yeah.
I'm probably more along your lines. I push them. I push it pretty hard. I've kind of got the little slogan: you either get him or bump him, one of the
Right.
two. You know. But again, I have hunted public land all my life, and you don't want to set 200 yards and keep that bird gobbling.
And let somebody move.
Yeah, let somebody move in.
Somebody's fixing to.
Yeah.
You're fixing to have somebody, and it's not that I care about people hunting. I mean, that's fine. You know, if they kill the bird, so what? You know, it's public land. This is part of it. But killing them old knotheads is, you got to get in their bubble.
Yeah.
You got to make it easy for them to come to you. I was hunting down in South Georgia last year. 2 giant gobblers. I had 7, 8 hens, something like that with them. And the topography allowed me to, I moved all the way, just about all the way around these birds. Probably a 15-acre field, kind of jotted up a little bit. I couldn't get them. They'd head that way. I'd circle around, get up here and call to them a little bit. Hens would move out. They just kept dodging me the whole time. So it don't work all the time.
Right. But you'd rather get up and try to put yourself in a position.
Your chances of, all right, you go to a baseball game. Your chances of catching a foul ball, you need to be somewhere around that fence, close to that fence. And that's, kind of the same as turkey hunting. The closer you can get, the easier they can, they might not want to walk 100 yards to check you out. They're not going to leave all these girls. They might walk 20 or 25 if you can get in a position to get to them,
Just being in your bubble.
Yeah. And if I catch hens and gobblers together, and hens get this away and the gobbler still, I'll run the hens off. And I don't care if a gobbler flies off too. That's fine with me.
But at least you give
Get
yourself
him out of
a
his
shot.
normal routine.
Yeah.
Because if you leave them alone with them hens, they're booger bears.
Yeah.
You can't do nothing with them.
We figured that out. Too.
Bust them up. Dust them up. Yeah.
That's a good tip. Right
I was going to say that's
that opened some eyes for me. Because we sat and watched one last year for a long time, and like, well, we can't do nothing with him.
Right.
Just let him go. Now, that's the same bird we went after the next weekend and got him up to the fence, and he just say he was across on our side the time before. And the next weekend he flew down on the other people's property and walked to that fence line and just back and forth hammering.
It's unfortunate turkeys don't know property lines.
Yeah, I know it.
No, they don't. They don't. But do you push a turkey on a web wire fence? Have y'all ever run across that yet?
No, we've got running into the web wire.
They'll now the normal daily routine, hop over it, go off through a hole, but you push them, they see you, they'll just keep trying to. You literally walk up to them and shoot them.
That's a better tip.
So
That'd be comedy and
this is going to be the next video. Jeremy walking across the field 200 yards to shoot in the face.
Yeah, that's even better. Get away. What about you? You got anything like you want to ask him, or?
I've got one question, because I mean we being new, and we were bouncing around quite a bit from different properties, and if you step foot on a piece of property, brand new, you haven't looked at it topo, you haven't done much to it at all. You just, what are you looking for? What are you going to stand on the corner of the field and listen, or are you going to go set up on a ridge point, or are you just going to kind of play it cool and just listen, or what are you going to do?
Crow call, owl call, coyote call, something, anything you can yank a guy, like cut at him hard. Take a box call, cut at him, yelp at him hard. Just try to jerk a gobble out of him. Very seldom do I ever carry a locator call.
Oh, really?
Very seldom. And if I do, it's for the afternoon coyote howler, which I don't hardly have no luck roosting birds. It's just something I can't do, I reckon. Either ain't getting close enough to them or whatever. But anything like, to answer your question, it depends on, do you got just this evening to hunt it? You got 2 days to hunt it. You got all season to hunt it. Time. We're working people. Time is of essence to it. You don't have a lot of that. There's no wrong way to do it for the most part, especially when you're starting out and you're learning. Get out there and hunt.
Yeah.
Call to them. Hack at them. Bark at them hard. Make them gobble.
So say we picked a piece of public land we've never been to. We studied the topos and have an educated guess, and we go out there one morning and we're hearing nothing. You just keep moving on that place, or you skip to another piece of public land, or would you come back to that place the next weekend and try it again? Maybe they weren't vocal. Yeah, I mean we've got some public land that we've been to in Tennessee, and we've deer hunted it, in the past. It's been a while, but and me and John saw 4 longbeards, just good-looking birds, cross the road right in front of us.
Right.
So turkey season a couple of years ago, we went right back to that area. Nothing. And I know there's difference in winter areas and summer areas. But we stayed on it all day, and we think we might have heard one gobble.
Now, if I spend all day in a spot and don't hear one, I'm going to be looking for another spot.
Is that just a gobble, or is that hens or anything?
Well, anything, any kind of turkey activity.
So if you hear hens, you're happy?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Well, if there's hens there, there's going to be gobblers there. That's just like deer hunting, if you food plots, feed, whatever you're doing, if you can hold the does, the bucks will come. Sooner or later. It might be midnight, but
that's good to know.
That's good to know.
Same with the hens. If you can hold them, the gobblers are coming.
Because there's another piece of public land that we've been to before that we've always got on hens, but
never a gobbler.
Never a gobbler.
They got to be there, though. They're just not being vocal.
Actually, I should say that. Should change that. We did get on one gobbler, but we've seen a lot of hens.
Public land is funny. Look for yelp marks, tar tracks, boot tracks. If you pull up to a spot on public and it looks like it's a Walmart parking lot, and ain't a vehicle there, but it's just wore out and muddy, and you might want to go look for another spot or find another way to the backside of it or something of that nature,
Well, this bird, we pulled in, kind of to a spot walked in and we found a little bit of like dust bowl, like where they'd been dusting and stuff. So we kind of had an educated guess.
There.
Yeah, or that they had just been there and they weren't 125 yards or something from that
spot. Yeah, and they had fresh tracks and a mud hole.
So, I mean, well,
somebody could have killed the bird. You know where you was talking about you went and wasn't seeing no gobblers. Somebody could have done killed them. It or them or whatever, you know.
Could have, because we didn't go there early in the season. It was later on.
Was this last year?
Mm-hmm. Last year was a nightmare.
Got hammered last year. It'll take us, I say that, it might not, but it'll take us a couple, 3 years to get over this COVID. Everybody off work in the week.
Well, that's the problem, because it's going to be that way this year and probably going to be that way a little bit next year too. But there's people that I haven't worked for, 3 months. Yeah, ain't got nothing to do but hunt. But we've been fortunate enough, and I think that's a draw to our channel. The reason why people are it's starting to pick up a little bit of steam is that we are the weekend warriors. I mean, we do get to take off. We take off one time to do a turkey hunt in the spring, and then we take off a week, like during the peak rut, to hunt. But other than that, it's every weekend. So what we kill, we have to kill, and usually it is.
We've got 2 days to get it done.
Yep. 2 days to get it done, or you got another 5 to wait.
So you just have to be that.
Well, that's the bulk of the hunters.
Yeah, it is.
90% of the hunters.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they don't want time's limited.
Because some of our buddies that have channels, they've got jobs where they can get out and hunt during the week where there ain't people out, and you ain't got to worry about if you say I'm going to go here this morning, then they go there that morning, but we go there and there may be 3 trucks, so that's the reason why I think it's what we get done, on those weekends, Saturday and Sunday, and you kind of have to, it may come across bad on camera, but that's what we have to do, we have to push. But how about you? You got any other words of wisdom?
No.
When we first approached him about this, he said he can sit in front of a bunch of people and call, no problem, but you like to talk turkey.
This ain't my forte as far as sitting in front of a camera.
But
I was going to say, we do thank you coming.
And, we're talking turkeys.
Yeah.
I'm in. Whether we're just sitting around, no camera, whatever, turkey hunting's, that's my passion. It's been, Lord, I had 4 weeks vacation, last job I had, and I'd take about 2 weeks off, FMLA. They called it turkey knee.
Yeah.
At work, and I hunted every day, for years. That's probably, just get out there and hunt, have fun. Do you want to just kill one gobbler, or do you want to try to tag out, or, it just all depends on the person. Whether, there's some people that, it's always come natural to me. Turkey hunt, deer hunt. I've killed some 120 class deer, but that's it. I ain't killed none of these great old big deer. They're too smart.
Deer are smart. But turkeys will make you look like fools too.
I was going to say, turkeys, for something that has such a small head, they'll make you look stupid. They'll make me look stupid.
That'll never quit. I promise you.
I think that's kind of the fun of it to me, because it's something that it's a new challenge.
Well, we started this channel and we were starting to get interested in it. When we've always had interest in it, but we devote a lot of our entire life. Summertime, everything is deer. We're prepping spots, putting minerals, running cameras and stuff.
That's next weekend.
And they talked me into turkey hunting, and I was like, I don't care anything about it, but if we're hunting where we deer hunt, I'll just scout while we're turkey hunting. But then I've got to where, I'm more addicted to trying to call one in. I don't care nothing about shooting one.
A deer?
No, turkey.
Oh, yeah.
So I've been hooked by turkey hunting. I enjoy it. When you get on birds, it's fun to me.
Yeah. If I need to check into what y'all got there, but sooner or later it's going to come down to me hunting with a camera.
Yeah.
Unless our numbers get really up, like they used to be. But I'm more into the vocalization of them anymore.
Right.
I like to hear them, converse with them. Don't get me wrong, I do like to shoot one. I love to eat turkey.
I do too.
Man. Yeah, they're really
that's good.
And you said your wife is a stone cold killer.
My wife will get after them. Well, our farm, we're about all her hunting is. I hunt, but I don't carry a gun. I go call. That's it. But there's a good turkey down there. She has hunted this bird 3 years. This bird has got her figured out, and it's driving her crazy. He's back this year. He's probably, I don't know, just guessing 10 and a half, 11 inch beard and got spurs like that.
Oh my God.
But she'll go out, she'll hunt him a little while, give up on him, he'll shut up, won't say nothing else. She'll hear him, She'll go hang clothes out and he'll gobble. Well, I feed up and down my driveway. That's a no hunt zone.
Right.
They're safe. They get
Right.
there, leave them alone.
Right.
Well, he'll gobble up on the hill. I said, you can go up on either hill and hunt him. Well, she'll go up there and he'll shut up. She come down one day last year. It's probably 10 o'clock by this time. She done went after him 3 times that morning, 2 or 3 times. She got the lawnmower out, starts mowing the yard. This turkey comes to the feeder. Now, he's not 100 yards from her. He's at the feeder strutting while she's mowing the yard.
I think I'd be going up on that hilltop with a lawnmower.
Yeah, or just cut the lawnmower on and
But
later on.
she killed 2, I guess, a couple last year down there, but I won't help her with that one.
Yeah.
Now, if we're hunting and he comes up, yeah, shoot him. But if I see him out there, no, I'm not going to help you. You kill this turkey.
That's her mission.
It is.
That's good.
My wife will be mad at me.
Turkey hunting, the first turkey I killed, I hunted for 18 or 19 days in a row. There's a couple of days there, it was storming and I couldn't go. But I was off work, hunted this turkey 18 or 19 days straight. And finally killed him. But he had 1.5 inch spurs, 10. I didn't even know what I killed. It's just turkey gobbling.
Uneducated old bird then.
Somebody has been, well, I guess I had. Didn't have a clue what I was doing. I just knew I wanted a turkey. But now the first year I hunted, I didn't hear a turkey. Nothing. Not a bird.
We actually had some success in hearing them, but we just couldn't kill them that first year. But man, I tell you, I sure appreciate it. We've enjoyed it. And I really wanted to just get some content out that was, good for people to watch, and I think it'll go over well. Do you just sell your calls at Lawson's, or do you sell them online or anything like that?
No, I don't do it online at Lawson's, but now I sell them from the house.
Okay.
People out of state and stuff. I had that call company years ago, and I still sell to some of these people.
Right.
I'm calling order 5, 10, 15 or whatever. I've been selling calls to for 20 years plus.
Well,
What's your favorite?
Ghost cut.
Ghost cut.
That is my favorite call. I run 4-reed stuff. Now, I don't build 4-reed stuff unless somebody just asks for it. It's just something that it fits me, My ghost cuts are 4-reed, my yelpers, which are a half V, shipwreck, whatever you want to call them, inverted, half inverted V. But those 2 calls. I mean, you can run anything. And
As long as you can cluck.
as long as you can cluck. But now my yelpers are super, super tight, real tight. Not a lot of people, I guess, can run snare. That probably goes to show you I'm a little bit warped. A lot of other people don't run them that tight.
Really?
But it's just something. I heard Matt Van Sice yelping 04, 05. Oh my God. And I was winning a few contests, placing in some. I thought, I'm going to do that. I got to learn to do that. And I did. I thought I did. I didn't win. I didn't even place in a contest for 2 years. Just trying something new. Thought it was real good, but it wasn't.
good to you. They didn't like it. Huh?
Yeah, the judges didn't like it.
Well, I'm telling you, we're gonna go down there and pick us up some calls, because we really do like them. But I appreciate you coming in.
Hey, no problem, man.
Thank you.
Guys, you've been watching the Hunting SOBs here, Sons of Bucks and Beards. It works both ways, though.
Right,
Just an FYI. But we really appreciate it if you like and subscribe. Like I always, follow along with this train wreck during turkey season, because
We never know what's going to happen.
It's gonna be funny.
It may not be informative, but it'll be entertaining, right?
That's right.
That's the fun part.
That's
Yeah.
right.
You never know what's going to happen.
Never know what's going to happen.